Japanese 3-liter V6 engines here. I got a vg30 out of a Nissan and a 3VZ out of a Toyota. I'm gonna put them in my CK10, rough them up, and see if they clean up at 20 over. So I ended up resurfacing both these blocks the other day, the Nissan and the Toyota. So they're all ready to go. I'm gonna get them in my CK10 and give them a couple strokes and see what they look like. I got the 3VZ in my machine. I got my bore gauge set. We're about 18 thousandths to go till it hits 20 over. So let's get to honing. Here we go. Here's that Duramax cylinder. All right, this is what we got after a few strokes. Nothing too crazy, but we're going 20 over, so it all just doesn't even matter. I was just showing you how worn out it was. We're about at 19 and a half at the bottom. This thing's warped 4.5 thousandths at the top. So let's get to honing. I was just honing away. There's that load meter. So I have quite a bit to hone. I'll set this guy on 15 or so. Let it hone away. Getting pretty close. All right, let's see what we got left. We have like 9.5 thousandths till we get to 20 over. But look, it didn't clean. See, there's still an eyebrow right there. That side's good. I'm dwelling right there and I'm opening up the bottom of the cylinder because it has a little bit of taper. So I'm honing away. You see this needle's bouncing when it blinks. It kind of loads up a little bit. I'll hit this dwell button. Here, I'll hit it again. Helps you straighten out the cylinder. That's a lot better. So I'm gonna finish this up and roll you over to the other side. All right, I just finished up this side. We're about 2 thousandths till we hit 20 over. That spot cleaned up. It took about 12 thousandths for that to actually clean up. Nice. Now it's time to roll it over. So I forgot to mention on the CK10, it has a slot right here for a 90-degree block. And then this slot right here is for these V6s that take a 60 degree. So all I do is pull this lever, hold the block, and it'll roll right to the other side. As long as it's in the right now it's in the right spot, but if it was at 90, wouldn't really work out very good. So the Toyota, we're doing all the machine work on it and the customer's putting it together. We're obviously doing the block. We're rebuilding the cylinder heads. We already have the crankshaft ground. We're gonna resize the rods, upgrade the rod bolts to an ARP fastener instead of a stretch bolt. They don't have a very good bolt, and I'm not a fan of stretch bolts on rod bolts anyways, and the ARP makes really nice stuff. And then on the Nissan, we're doing the same thing. We're got the crank. I think we're just gonna polish the crank. I haven't mic'd it yet, but we'll probably just polish the crank. It looks very good. My dad already resized the rods, and then he already did the heads. I pressure tested them. He surfaced them and kind of cleaned up the valves and got those all good for the guy. And then all we're gonna do is set the crankshaft in the motor, torque it all down, new bearings, and then the customer's putting, you know, the pistons in it and head on and all that. And I don't know why the guy's so afraid of putting the crank in it, because it's way harder to, well, it's not harder, but it's way more, you know, work to actually put a piston in the hole. So I don't mind doing all the machine work and having someone else put it together, as long as they know what they're doing and do it nice, clean, and thorough. Because the worst thing you could do is put an engine together and just, you know, mistreat all the parts, or scuff a bearing when you put it together, or just have dirty parts and put it together, and then it causes a premature failure. Then someone comes back at the machine shop all mad, and it's nothing I did, because everything's, you know, it's all on them putting it together. I can have the best engine with all the best parts, but if you screwed up putting it together, it's not going to work out. So this side has a little bit more pitting, so we'll see how it looks. I'm just going to give these 3 strokes like I did the other side, and check out the boards, see what they look like. All right, here we go. Here's what they look like. This cylinder actually looks a lot better than before I honed it, obviously, but it was looking like it was going to be a lot worse than it actually was. This one has some lineage, but not so bad. It's going to make 20, so about 4,500, kind of like the other side. Here again, watch the first couple strokes. That needle's really bouncing because it's tight at the bottom. So we're gonna dwell. I'll show you this dial right here. This will do about 3, it did about 3 dwells in a row. And then I forgot to tell you this is a button, or it's a lock also. So that locks the button down. It'll do it every single stroke until I release it. Let's see what's going on in here. Kind of cool in there. Don't get your arm stuck in there. I don't think it's coming back. And then up top, a bunch of belts. Motors in the back. And then I'll show you how this works. So I was telling you earlier, you can set this, so you set this at 20, it'll take about 10. And then over back here, right before it hits 0, it'll turn off. This guy will hit this switch, and that turns the machine off. All right, here's the next cylinder. You can kind of hear the machine. That cylinder isn't around here going whoa, 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 kind of. Oh, now it's starting to work. And then up here, this handle, this just increases the load. So see, it's almost to 60. I'll turn this, open them stones up, increases the pressure. And then if something bad happens, there's this emergency stop button that turns everything off, but I never hit that guy. All right, well, I just finished this thing up. It's 2.5 thousandths till 20 over. Now I can order some pistons up, mic them up, and finish the bores. I said in another video, I'm not a fan of this style where it doesn't have any drains in the center of the block. If this thing had freeze plugs in it, I could fill this thing all the way to here with this oil. So when it's in the car, if it goes through a big mud puddle, you're playing with your buddies out in the woods, this thing could be totally full of water and it won't really drain. And if these things aren't brass, the freeze plugs that go here, that's just asking for problems. So I'm gonna pull this guy out and put the Nissan in the machine next. Okay, so I forgot to mention, so I was gonna tell you a couple more similarities on these engines. So the Toyota has a slightly bigger bore by 20 thousandths. It's 3-inch, 445 thousandths, and the Nissan has a bore size of 3-inch, 425 thousandths. So they're pretty similar. They're both single overhead cams. The Toyota's a mechanical valve adjustment, and then with a shim and bucket. And then the Nissan, they have a hydraulic style flat tappet with a rocker arm. So it's a little bit different. The Nissan kind of looks funky compared to other engines. I'll show you a couple pictures of the cylinder heads. They're both timing belt engines. So I'm going to get the Toyota out of the machine and get the Nissan in the machine. All right, now I got the Nissan in here. Let's give this thing a couple strokes and see what these bores look like. Here's what they look like. There's a couple vertical scratches, but that's pretty much nothing. Just a couple thousandths. These aren't too bad. So let's give this thing a lot more strokes. I'll be back in a sec. All right, this side's done. Just like the Toyota, I go to about 2.5 and call it good until I get a piston. Now let's flip it over to the other side. Well, this cylinder has a pretty good amount of lines. A little bit on that guy. Check the other side out. Oh, there's a good line on that one too. Yeah, BAP, I guess. BAP. Just a few thousandths, but those lines don't look very good. He's clean. Cleaned up at about 3 thousandths. That one's clean. Took 5 out of that hole. Another thing I forgot to mention, when you're using stones like this, you want to scrub them against each other every once in a while, you know, every 5 to 10 thousandths or so. They'll glaze up and won't do what they need to do. Took about 5 out of that hole. just finished this other side up. Right around 2.5, 3. I'm just gonna leave this be now. I'm gonna wait till I get some pistons. Well, those blocks are as far as I'm gonna take it without a piston in hand. That's the worst thing to do. Bore that thing to the supposed oversized, get a piston, and hopefully it's the right size. Those can vary a couple tenths here and there, and I'm really particular on those bore sizes, and I don't want too tight of a piston or something that's gonna rattle like a diesel or something. So in the next video, I'm gonna get the pistons, mic them up, set my bore gauge, and hone that thing out the rest of the way, wash them, put freeze plugs in them, and put some fresh paint on it. So I appreciate you guys. Hope you enjoyed this little 3-liter mayhem of Japanese V6s. I'll see you guys in the next one.